I work with the International Potato Center, and we work on sweet potatoes and potatoes. They're two very distinct crops and incredibly nutritious. And why we want to focus on more than just calories is because your body needs key micronutrients in order to be healthy. And 3 of the key micronutrients are vitamin A, iron, and zinc. And so at the International Potato Center, we've been really focusing on breeding the orange flesh sweet potatoes, which are very rich in provitamin A. And if you have enough vitamin A in your body, you can resist disease more effectively. And of course, it's essential for good eyesight. And we're also breeding, both in potato and sweet potato, for increased iron and zinc contents as well. That's taking longer because we do conventional breeding to bring these micronutrients up. And so it's about the quality of the diet, not just the quantity.
Right. So you've been working in sub-Saharan Africa and studying, researching for some years now. In your opinion and in your findings, what do you think that we need to focus on in order to really tackle the issue of food security?
Very good point. I think what we're facing, particularly in East and Central Africa, is the challenge of how do we manage declining landholding sizes per capita. You know, when somebody passes away, they divide up their land among their children. Now that's happened generation after generation. So we feel, in particular, potato and sweet potato are crops that give high energy output per unit time per unit area. So when you need to maximize the use of your land, these crops become incredibly important. And that's why you see them being so important in the tropical highlands, where you have more than 400 people per square kilometer. But you need more than just your staple foods. You need your vegetables. You need your beans. You need your legumes. We must have a diversified diet. And so for that to happen on smaller pieces of land, we need to do a better job of soil management and of water management, because it's all about how do you maximize what's coming out of the land and how do you sustain that production over time. And you sustain it by rotating your crops. It's never good to plant the same crop after a crop.
Right.
Yeah, you have to really change it so your diseases don't build up and you protect the quality of the land.
Right. You know, we've seen in the region especially a lot of effects, I suppose you could say, of climate change. We've had delayed rains this year, and in certain parts of East Africa it's been almost catastrophic, with livestock passing away, with some crops not yielding. How can studying vegetables such as sweet potatoes, and even testing the soil, etc., really help farmers to cope with these changes?
It's a real challenge, and I think more and more is, you know, the writing's on the wall. We're going to have to put in better water management systems, because even in places like Rwanda, where you could always depend on bimodal rainfall, in Uganda, the research station, the major research station there, is putting in irrigation because they used to be able to depend on bimodal rainfall and the rain starting at a certain period of time. That's no longer true. So it is going to be about water management, more use of drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, water capture off your roof. We have to manage water better. That's going to be essential. And sub-Saharan Africa really is behind most of the rest of the world in that. So it means a massive investment needs to go in, because it takes a lot of skill to build a good water system.
Right. Are these some of the topics that are going to be discussed at the potato conference? I think it's the African Potato Association conference that's coming up in August.
Yes, we're very excited. This is the 11th Triennial African Potato Association Congress. It's being sponsored by the Ministry of Agriculture in Rwanda and the Rwanda Agricultural Board, together with us, the International Potato Center. And it's going to bring together researchers from over 20 African countries, plus people from Peru, the United States, the Netherlands, all the people who are big in potato and sweet potato production. And it's the first time it's been held in Rwanda. You know, so this is a meeting that's held every 3 years, and Rwanda offered to host it because they're very proud of their crop improvement program and the great strides that have been made in potato in terms of increasing productivity over the last 5 years. But also, from the nutrition standpoint, The Rwandese government has done an excellent job of bringing down malnutrition, and the orange flesh sweet potato and the biofortified beans under biofortification have been major contributors to that. Right. So we see it as an opportunity for Rwanda to highlight the role of potato and sweet potato in their food system.
And what are the main discussions going to be around during the conference? Well,
climate change is certainly one. The theme of the meeting is, nutritious, sustainable food systems. And so the tropical highlands is one of those challenging systems that's facing the impact of climate change, but also the impact of high population.
Right.
And how does livestock fit into that? Because, something like sweet potato and the vines are an excellent livestock feed. So those integrated systems is very much a part of it. Then there's a whole part dedicated to breeding, because another way you deal with climate change is breeding for drought tolerance, breeding for pest resistance, virus resistance, because the pest problems in most cases are going to become more severe under climate change. Then we have the commitment to nutrition, breeding for high provitamin A, iron and zinc, and other things that make it a more nutritious food. Because most poor people in particular get their calories from their staple crops.
Right.
So if we can enhance the micronutrient content of those staple foods, it's a win-win for everybody. And then of course markets. We really want to increase the marketability of these crops. That means more research on appropriate storage techniques. How do we keep the supply going to agro-processors? Right. What are new products agro-processors can be making with the orange flesh sweet potato and potato to generate income? We all know that we have more cities, and cities want their food in convenient forms.
Right.
So that'll be another major area. And then the other area, the other theme in the meeting is on gender and youth. Getting more youth engagement, particularly in agro-processing and in agriculture in general, and marketing and trading, as well as how do you take some of these results from research to scale so we really impact the well-being of families.
Right. Will there be any discussion around financing and funding some of the projects? Because, a lot of the independent farmers that we have here in the region, they are not able to perhaps afford some of the solutions that are necessary when it comes to irrigation, soil testing, etc., even though there are efforts being made. Will there be any discussion around that?
Yes, well, the meeting is the 26th to 29th of August at the Kigali International Conference Center. And there'll be an exhibition at that meeting. And here we hope there's going to be a lot of private sector participation. We are inviting banks to participate, particularly those who are interested in giving credit to farmers. We hope to highlight at the meeting the use of digital technologies, again, trying to link people who need seed to seed producers, people who need inputs, looking at innovative solutions to increase access to inputs. Right. So I think attending the exhibition will allow farmers and other practitioners to see what are the options that are coming up, the new technologies that are helping get over these barriers to being able to invest in higher productivity of potato and sweet potato and find market opportunities.